moved. Okay. Okay, 4 PM, the Public Safety Committee meeting is now in session. Could we have a approval of the minutes from July 15?
So moved?
And a second? So we have a motion by legislator Gustafson and a second by legislator Larson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carried. We have a privilege of the floor. Is anyone here to speak to the privilege of the floor? Hearing none and seeing none, we will close the privilege of the floor. Our first resolution is local law intro 12-26, a local law requiring operators of motor vehicles to maintain a safe distance of 3 feet when overtaking non-motorists.
Police escort. Good afternoon. I'm
Hey.
Tom Nelson, Legislative District 13 from Jamestown. And this is,
Oh, Tim Hollern. I'm actually here more as a cyclist than I am sheriff's office. It's just that I'm working, so I'm just stopping in to
Okay,
speak to the topic.
okay.
so yeah, what we're attempting to pass is a 3-foot law that would give some definition to the current law, which says that, you know, a vehicle must pass a bicycle in a safe distance, and which is arbitrary, which is, what does that mean? If it's, you know, what's a safe distance for me is different than somebody else. Officer Holleran and former Officer Tim Kimberg lead a cycling group that I joined, and it's well represented by the Sheriff's Department, because I think we have John Heaton and my brother Bill Nelson in there. So we've got
4 or 5 officers.
yeah. And they brought it to my attention, well, I don't know if it was Tim or Tim Kimberg that brought it to my attention, that we should have a specific 3-foot law. So I looked, you know, into this, did a little research, and found out that there are currently 33 states that have this, and the District of Columbia. Monroe County, Suffolk County, and
Ulster.
and Cortland County have passed it. Our law really is modeled after the Cortland County. I looked at the Monroe and the Cortland County, and after talking with Nate Harp, our attorney, he felt, you know, he kind of asked if that would be better for Chautauqua County, and I think so, because it includes like horse and buggies, pedestrians, you know, things that you're going to find in Chautauqua County. You know, we think it can make things safer. I mean, that's the thing. We're in a cycling group at least once a week, more if we're fortunate. We get out and we're on the roads, and you know, sometimes cars give you plenty of space and sometimes they don't, and it's dangerous out there. Our group, I think, is a pretty safe group. You know, we're all helmets, we have bright colors, we have reflectors. So, you know, we think that this will make cycling, which I think is a growing sport. We were part of the Hollyloft group, right, originally,
Right.
which had a big following, and there's still, gosh, how many are in our group?
Well, we have, I lead a group that's we go by letters. A is the fast, spandex, look down, go as fast as you can.
It's not us.
As fast as you can group, and our group is actually the C minus, and we have a D. And, but we average a speed of 11 to 12 miles an hour. Do you want me to go?
Yeah,
Say,
keep going, yeah. Keep going.
10 to 12 miles an hour. And we typically have probably close to 20 riders each Tuesday night, which is probably the biggest group of all of the old Hollyloft, now Upstate Cycles. groups. We never ride with 20 people all in one group. We'll split it at least down to 15-5 or 10-10 or whatever we think is appropriate, but normally nothing more than 15. And we have enough of a variety of riders that we get spaced out pretty good, which is actually good for traffic. You know, it gives people, places to pass, get back in lane, and then maybe pass again, gives them some jumping points. So anyway, that's our group. And I've been riding again since 2010, so I've been riding for another, for 16 years now. And I've been leading for maybe eight,
Yeah, at
9
least.
years. But anyway, as far as the 3-foot rule, like Tom said, there's several counties that have done the 3-foot rule. And when you say the 40 states or whatever it is that have,
33.
some of those states have 4-foot rules, 5-foot rules, which I think is a little bit too. It'd be nice, but it's too much because that puts the passing vehicles too far into the oncoming lane a lot of the time. So the 3-foot rule, typically on state highways anyway, will put a car, if they pass, maybe a foot or two into the oncoming lane in order to give the bicycle a 3-foot variance. And that's if the bicycle is riding on the fog line. Typical state highways are about 11 feet each lane. And if you give the bicyclist width of the bicycle and the rider 3 feet, and then a 3-foot variance, it's gonna put the vehicle over probably, an average width of a vehicle is 6 to 7 feet. Puts the vehicle maybe a foot or two into the oncoming lane if he or she passes.
And that's if the bicycle's on the what line?
That's if the
white line.
bicycle's actually
white
riding
fog
on the
line.
fog line.
Okay.
Now, we're blessed around here, in many areas. I think it's more for snow removal than it is for bikes, but we have wide shoulders, especially on the state highways. They've made the shoulders pretty wide in a majority of places, especially around the lake, 394 and Route 430, all very nice roads to ride on. But again, it's more for snow removal than it is for us. And but a lot of people, I ride on the fog line. I'm usually out in front of the group. I ride on the fog line with my tail light going, and that's kind of a gauge for cars coming up behind us. If I'm out on the fog line, most of our riders ride inside the fog line. So I'm kind of like a signal for the car to kind of move over a little bit. That's just my preference to do that. The reasons bicycles might ride close to the fog line is because of debris in the roadway, potholes, sewer drains. There's a lot of different reasons why a cyclist, even though it looks like we have a lot of room to be over, we don't. I mean, it's not like we have a street sweeper that goes around the lake or goes on the state highways, every day to clean it up. So we have to kind of keep towards the fog line, if not on it. That's the main reason. So that's why I'm saying, to give a 3-foot rule, it would put a car probably, if we hear the rumble strips from a car passing us, if we can hear that rumble strip, that's a good sign. That means the car has moved over enough, and we're happy about that. So that's about the point the car would have to move over to give us the space. But the 3-foot law would be more of a cognitive thing for drivers, that they see some signage that say 3 feet, other advertising, other public service announcements about the 3-foot rule, and it would give them kind of more of a visual as far as moving over. Of course, we had the one unfortunate accident there on Stedman Road by Andriachos this year already, and that was a combination, big truck. I think it was a work truck with wide mirrors on it, and the lady got struck. But I don't know where she was. I don't know anything about that accident. I don't know where she was in the roadway. If she was on the fog line or over further, I really don't know. But I'm just saying, if you have, the 3-foot rule would just give some motorists a cognitive idea of where to be on bikes. So. But as far as the cycling goes, you know, I'd love to answer any questions you have.
How do you, how would you enforce that?
How would you enforce the 3 foot? Well, a number of ways. It'd be visual if by chance the police was right behind them, obviously. Another one would be, through deposition from the bicycle rider. We are kind of in tune with, you know, when a car passes us, you can tell, you know, how far, you know, about approximately how far, you know, it's a yardstick. That's all we're asking for, is a yardstick. And if a bicyclist feels that they got past that close to where you really were in fear of being hit, and it happens, that you could call the police, give a deposition, and then yeah, the officer would most likely go and interview the person as well and see what they had to say. But that would be another way to arrest. The thing with the unsafe passing is a cyclist or a pedestrian could do the same thing by giving deposition saying that, you know, you know, the car went by me and I almost tipped over because of the breeze or whatever. And that deposition and a traffic summons could be issued based on that. But other than that, it's such an arbitrary section of vehicle and traffic law that most of the time, the only time an unsafe passing law, the way it is now, is gonna be written is if someone gets hit. That, you know, if someone gets hit, obviously it's an unsafe passing. And that's what happened here this year. And unfortunately, that's the way most of those would be written, is if someone gets injured.
Without this rule or this law in place, would there still be an opportunity to arrest for unsafe passing? Like with absent of this rule, if a cyclist was to get struck,
Right.
there would be no consequences at all for the driver?
The unsafe passing, yes. So the
Well,
unsafe
they'd still
passing
get
is,
unsafe passing even if this law was not enacted. This is more for like a visual.
the 3 foot, you mean? The 3
Yes.
foot law? Well, it would certainly go to that, being more of a visual thing. But that's by, you know, by either the cyclist or an observer, you know, be a police officer or whatever. Be a police officer observing that, it's gonna be rare.
But if you get struck today, what would be the consequence for the driver? Would it be an unsafe passing? Would it be?
I believe so, yeah. I
Yeah.
think the.
Oh,
So
right
the-
now,
the
oh,
same
yeah.
consequence, it's the same consequence today as it would be after this law passes.
Yes, but I think
Okay.
a little
Well-
bit, yeah, but a
Well, the
little
law
easier to
does
enforce.
have, you know, penalties
Right.
that you've seen.
Right.
Yeah.
So this adds just an observance for both the cyclist to be able to do a deposition as well as any visual observation from a police officer. They can enforce it that way. No one necessarily has to get hurt like they would
Right.
today. Today
Right.
they have to get hurt, so this is more
Well,
preventative.
yeah, we wouldn't have to get hurt, but primarily that's how that ticket's gonna get written,
Yeah.
is if someone gets hit.
This is good, yeah,
Yeah, this is kind of trying to avoid it going to that point.
sure,
I guess this creates a lot more awareness.
right.
It's kind
Well, we
of
hope,
awareness
yeah,
with
we
teeth.
hope so. I hope
guess,
it becomes
yeah.
part of something that might be discussed in a driver education class, you know, then when you say, hey, what's a safe distance? 3 feet, which a yardstick is
Well,
still
if you
not a
look at
lot of
this
space.
table, It's
It's
a
not-
6-foot
yeah,
table and
it's
it's right in
Yeah.
the middle, so it's 3
Mhm.
and 3.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
you're talking about real cyclists. You're talking about people that still pedal. I have no problem with this local law, Legislator Nelson. But in the last 2 weeks, as a resident of Jamestown, let me just share 4 things I've seen. Motorized means of transportation, what you call them e-bikes, e-scooters, e-pain in the butt. Wrong way on a one-way street. I had a motorized means of transportation come at me on 6th Street the wrong way. This is just in the last 2 weeks. I call it the Wild West right now in Jamestown. Second one, I've seen them many times ignoring stop signs and even red lights, literally. And it's not just a kid. Within the last 2 weeks, probably my wife and I agreed it was about a 30-year-old woman riding down Washington Street Hill in Jamestown from 6th toward 8th. The light on 8th was as green as could be. Out of the corner of my eye, I happened to see this bike speeding down the hill right through the red light at 8th and Washington. 3, one of these motorized means of transportation riding right in the center of the travel lane on Washington Street at 20 miles an hour or less. Traffic could not safely go around ever, and traffic was backing up behind this whoever. 4th one, motoring against traffic on Fluvanna Avenue. I was pulling out of an establishment on Fluvanna Avenue, it was State Highway. I usually wouldn't even bother to look to my right when I'm turning right, but for some reason I did, and here came the motorized means of transportation against traffic on Fluvanna. I was a city court judge for 8 years before the state said I was told to do that anymore. I don't remember this happening just 4.5 years ago. This is new stuff. I don't know what the rules are. I doubt that the sheriff's department, the deputies out on patrol, I doubt they really know the rules and regs. Can a 13-year-old be operating these things? Can you operate them with no helmet? Can you operate them the wrong way on a one-way street? Can you sail through red lights? That only applies to motor vehicles under current DMV law. I doubt that the average JPD officer knows. I doubt that the state police at the barracks in Dunkirk or Jamestown know. As a public safety committee, I think there's a real education need here that perhaps the sheriff, the state police, and our local police departments, Fredonia, Dunkirk, Ellicott, Bustye, Lakewood, Jamestown, could cooperate on maybe an hour or two of continuing legal education. What in the world are the rules for these things? I heard a rumor that you're supposed to be 16. Well, I see an awful lot of, they're not 16 on these motorized devices. They don't have to take any courses. They don't have to get a license. They don't have to have insurance. And as God is my witness, if I had happened to hit that person that was heading the wrong way on Fluvanna, the headline in the Post-Journal and on JTN would be, Judge Larson hits bicyclist. Yeah, some bicyclist. This is a Wild West, and people are going to get killed. They're already getting killed, or they're killing people in Manhattan. People on these devices have hit especially elderly pedestrians and killed them. So, hey, I have no problem with your 3-foot local law to protect genuine cyclists, adults that wear bright clothing, that wear helmets. I ask you, in your own community, take a look at how these motorized devices are being operated. And I don't think the 13-year-old or the 16-year-old or the 19-year-old, I don't think they know what the law is. I don't know what the law is. And it's time that we do something. So other than that, I don't have strong feelings about this Wild West situation. Thank you.
Well, yeah, I would totally agree, and we could probably go around the room and tell stories of e-bikes that we've come in contact with in one way or another, or just narrowly missed, or, and I think that's a whole body of law that has to be addressed at the state level. And one issue is that there are some e-assist bikes, and you may know more than this. There's some that you pedal and you get a little assistance, and some that are fully motorized. Some you can go give you a little extra help.
Well, the little I know is that there are 3 levels of e-bikes.
Well, I think we're getting off.
Yeah, we are.
Track here.
All right, that's fine.
Let's back this up.
But
Let's stick with this, and then that would
Just
be
to say,
something under
just to
other.
respond to Mr. Larson, though, I would like to say that probably 95% of what you just documented that you've observed is probably all ticketable if these things were enforced.
Right.
You know, obviously, you can't go the wrong way, you can't be on the sidewalk, you gotta have a helmet, you got, you know, I think it is 16. You know, all those things, it's a matter of enforcement, and it's a matter of knowledge of the law and everything like that, so, those things have to be addressed at some point
Thank you.
as well.
I got a quick question. Outside the observance of a police officer, of somebody doing the wrong thing or, you know, doing an unsafe pass, what would, and I know there's no perfect answer to this, but what would be a way to stop the he said, she said? Like, just somebody filing an erroneous thing, like they're just mad because their neighbor that they're mad at.
I mean, as
passed
far
them.
as issuing a summons or something for
Like
that,
said
or-
person just filing a report on somebody that may have not had a unsafe pass, but, you know, they've got an axe to grind with that person, or like, I'm just gonna tell them that, you know, that.
Well, that
I realize
happens.
there's no perfect
Yeah.
answer.
That happened with a lot of things, even other than the cycling issue that we're talking about, but, basically deposition, interview the person that's being accused, and then some officer discretion as far as what, you know, what is, what you can determine as fact, and if you see animosity between two people, obviously, you're gonna question that a little bit, and you're gonna, you know, go with the flow as far as that goes. The only thing with this 3-foot thing, at least it just gives more of a mental picture of what a motorist should be aware of. That's what we're asking for. As far as the Wild West, you know, I don't know what to say about
Well,
that,
it's in
'cause
every-
I see the same, I'm from Jamestown, I see the same thing.
That's everywhere. It's
Oh,
not
yeah.
just in
No,
Jamestown.
it's
It's
terrible.
everywhere.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Cool. In kind of going to Legislator Larson's thing, don't bicyclists have to follow the rules of the road, don't
They
they?
do.
They have to stop at stop signs.
Same as a motor vehicle.
And they have to stop at red lights, and
That's
they
correct.
have to
And
yield to
They never let us
pedestrians.
get away with anything.
Right, right. Well, he's the sheriff and you're a legislator, so, you know. I've seen bicyclists be in the middle of the road, too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it would only be if they're in the fog line or off of it, because
No,
I-
I mean, as
even
far,
pedestrians walk in the road, and it's like, it's frustrating, because Finley Lake, there isn't a lot of, they don't have those wide berms, which is fine, and I don't have any problem with giving people I try to, but, you know, when there's oncoming traffic, you just have to literally stop sometimes, which is fine. But not when they're in the middle of the road.
Right.
And I've seen PACs do the same.
well,
I guess, when does the 3-foot rule apply if there are 3 feet inside in the driving lane?
well, technically, according to the law, bicycles are allowed all free run front of the lane, of the
Oh, okay.
roadway. They're a vehicle.
I didn't know
They're
that.
allowed to be in there. Should they be? No, they shouldn't be.
I would.
Do they, the rule of thumb usually for cyclists that are cyclists, not, you know, the other ones we're talking about. The rules are you can ride up to 2 abreast, and then, but if, what, we have calls that we make, car back or car, you know, car up coming toward, if you hear car back, those 2 people abreast should be going into single file. That's what they should be doing, and I would say the
That's
vast majority.
etiquette, or is that rule?
Well, it's not a rule, it's etiquette, and vast majority of the cyclists,
Yeah,
Follow
they,
that.
vast too.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking of the kids that are out there
Yeah.
that are oblivious to, you know, they're not car back or
Right.
anything like that, but.
yeah, so, yeah, there's still issues, no doubt about it.
No,
There's a
I
lot of
know.
animosity between motorists and bicyclists, and that's because there's bad bicyclists out there,
Yeah, and
you
there's
know,
bad motorists
that make it
also.
that way, so.
and bad people that walk. There was a
Yeah.
lady on her cell phone, 1 foot off and 1 foot in the fog line.
I think what's bringing a lot of this to the head is COVID in 2020 brought, you know, it brought people into the cycling, hiking, camping, you know, a lot of those things, and that's where the boom, I think, recently,
Sure.
all across the country happened with the cycling, is the people were doing things outdoors, and the biking industry boomed, I mean, to the point where they were running out of equipment. to make bikes. They couldn't even, you order a bike, it took 6 months to get one. That's why it's such an issue now, I think, more than it was
Yeah,
even 6 years ago.
and it's a matter of safety is what it is. That's all.
Any other questions? I guess we were just gonna take a vote to move this forward to?
No, it'll go to the legislature regardless.
Okay,
It's already pre-filed.
all right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, number 2, proposed resolution, amend Chautauqua County Department of Mental Hygiene 2026 adopted budget for court-ordered forensic evaluations for competency and court-ordered forensic hospitalizations.
Hello, I'm
Good
Trish McLennan, Deputy Director of Department of Mental Hygiene and Social Services.
Hi, Renee Moulton, Deputy Director of Finance for Office of the Aging, Mental Hygiene, and Health Department.
Okay.
And this is Renee's first meeting here, so it's a welcome to her. and
Yeah,
working with
welcome
our
aboard.
County, so, yes, her first legislator meeting.
All right.
Here to present I know many of you are familiar with this, thank you, with this topic of Criminal Procedure Law 7.30. I was asked to present it to this committee as well, since it is a related to forensics, even though there is no charges or expenses accounted to anyone under public safety. We do have some of these evaluations occurring in the jail, and we do have some of these evaluations occurring in the community. Each year, we do end up having to have a pretty significant sum on our local share, and this calendar year, 2026, we did budget $500,000 for it. We are now at $487,000 spent, and still have from July 23rd through the end of the calendar year. This, if you're not familiar with it, Criminal Procedure Law 7.30 does occur in a court. You cannot predict it. When an individual is brought into court, the judge may question whether or not that individual has the capacity to understand their charges against them. If the judge does not believe they have that capacity, they can order a 730 evaluation. That has to be done by either a psychologist or a psychiatrist. 2 of these have to be done. If there's a tiebreaker on whether they have the capacity, a third person is. All those charges, because it's under criminal procedure law instead of mental hygiene law, cannot be billed. So there's no opportunity for billing, no opportunity for Medicaid, and it does come under, in each county in New York State, does come under the local government unit, the mental hygiene department. This has increased over the years, so if you've been with us for a number of years, in 2019, it did change from being 100% New York, or 50% New York State, 50% county. They did change it to 100% county responsibility that year. In addition to that, no matter where we stand on this, with the laws changing in jails and people are getting out sooner, it does provide less time for some folks to have medications be effective before they go to court. So we are seeing with jail reform a lot of folks appearing in court before they've had a chance to stabilize, and these orders are coming out. So we are requesting, based on what we've been using so far, we are requesting an additional $400,000. That, in addition to covering the evaluations, that also covers hospitalizations. If the individual is deemed as unable to understand their charges, the judge then orders them to something like Rochester Psychiatric Center, and that entire bill is charged back to the county as well. You cannot bill insurance for that, so that is about $1,200 a day. A person could be there for a month, they could be there for 9 months. There's no predicting. And their job is to help restore the person to the capacity to understand their charges. So this is one of those laws that most people are not real familiar with, but it's CPL 730 if you wanted to look it up later. And that's what we're requesting, is to increase $400,000. What you'll see below here in the resolution, we're wanting this money to, so it shows and it's clearer in the budget. We're wanting all of it to show under the 4322, the contractual mental hygiene law, So what we are also requesting is that the 200,000 that is under 4320 be moved up there. That's not an increase, that's just a move budget item. The increase is the $400,000 from the unreserved fund balance we're requesting.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
when I was city court judge, I ordered some of these, of course. And I would ratify everything that you said, appreciate it. The budget was for 500,000. If we pass this as is, it's a net increase of another 400,000. So it's 80% over the best guess that people had last September, putting on the tentative budget. And I appreciate that. My confusion is with the current administration, once in a blue moon, we get a resolution to use unappropriated fund balance during the year. This year, I think like January, February, March even, we were passing oodles of resolutions using unappropriated fund balance to make up for deficits from the 2025 budgets. I sort of think you're doing the right thing, but you're trying to be as accurate as you can project. Others just spend the money, and during the year they count on the legislature the next January, February, or March to say, "Oh well, it costs you 200,000 more. We'll just take it out of unappropriated fund balance and call it a day." So I don't know how to look at this. I appreciate that you're trying to be upfront with us during the year here in August, that with 475,000 roughly already spent, obviously 500,000 is not going to do it. So at some point, whether it's this month or next month or December after the elections, not that politics has anything to do with the budget, you're going to need more money.
Yes, sir.
So if we changed it to a net of 200,000, that would get you through maybe the rest of the year, maybe not, depending on how many judges order how many exams and how many psychiatrists say this person is good to go, so they don't need to stay in Rochester.
You're right.
I'm all better
You are
now.
familiar with it.
The
You are
doctor
familiar
said
with
so.
it. Right, right.
I made my point, I think. I'll support this, although you could get it to the end of the year and you've got 100,000 left over.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And this is only for that. I mean, literally nothing else. It's only for that.
right. Thank you.
Thank you.
So at the end of the year, say you have some money left over now, and then how is that adjusted for 2027?
If I could, I'll hop in really quickly on this one. Any remaining funds left in that particular subdepartment would roll back to fund balance. So that's where those unused monies would go.
And then that would be kind of like more of an accurate number for 2027 is what they use in the budget process?
It's difficult to say because with the 730s, as Trish iterated, it's a very unpredictable number depending on the number of cases that are referred and everything, all of the various nuances that the county would get charged for. So I hesitate to say that it would make it a more accurate estimate for 2027 simply because years past it's been much lower, other years it's been much higher. So there's really no basis for a really safe estimate with that particular subdepartment.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
do we currently have people in Rochester?
Yes, we do. We have 2 right now.
Two.
Another was just ordered to go, and I received that order this week.
2 in and 1 going to be in.
Yes. The challenge for that, because that's, the cost evaluation is one thing, but the cost of hospitalization obviously is much higher. So when you're looking at $1,200, $1,400 a day, if they can, I'm using their terms, this is not what in my field we call treatment, and you know this, Mr. Larson, it's restoring their capacity to understand their charges. So they might not meet criteria for an inpatient psychiatric hospital, and that's an important piece, by the way. Some of these folks would not, if they're out in the street, would not get admitted. This is just, can they understand the charges?
Sure.
Due to what's going on with the individual, they may keep them 4 months.
Yeah.
That's the most unpredictable.
I mean, I remember this
You
same
know, I know, you've heard this
conversation from years
conversation with
ago,
me.
and
You have. You
there
have.
was somebody that
I-
was in for over a year
You are
in
correct, sir.
another county.
Yes, yes.
Um,
What we do now, and I know you've heard this, but for those who have not, we do receive monthly reports. I do look at those carefully. If I have questions or concerns about what medications are they really on, we do call, and I do have conversations. In addition to that, we did, and you may remember this, we talked months and months ago about some new funding from Office of Mental Health for what's called court navigators. They are in place as of 2 months ago, and I am meeting with them again next week to ask, it's not just to reduce this, but imagine if you've got a court navigator in your courtroom and you're the judge, and that person can say, hey, I can help see if they already have an appointment with mental hygiene. I can help get their records if they agree to that. It will often make the judge a little more comfortable if someone's able to help navigate and get what they need, and so they can make a better informed decision about whether to order it. So we're hoping that will reduce some of these too. It's the right thing,
Sure,
you know, to reduce them for the right reason.
but the bottom line is, these
Bottom-
two that are currently in now, we don't know how long they're
I
gonna
don't
be
know,
in.
and that's, I
And the
hate
one
to
that's
say that.
going in, we don't know
Yes,
how long they're gonna
correct.
be in. And we've got $13,000 more to go to budget, and at $1,200 a day,
Yes.
that's,
And I can't make
That's
the payments
11
if we
days.
don't have it. You got it, you got it.
for 3 people, that's three days
It's over,
each.
yeah, yeah.
So we're gonna go.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I'm asking now and not
No, I-
asking for a lower amount, okay?
Fair enough.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So you referenced back in 2019, the state basically turned its back on their portion of that liability and shoved it on the counties. Was that an administration thing? Was that something that could possibly be revisited from the state again and not shirk their responsibilities and put it all onto a county level?
That has been revisited multiple times
Okay.
by the Conference of Local Mental Hygiene Directors, and
Was there a reason given why they just said,
That was a budget thing.
it was a budget thing. It was a budget thing,
When they
along with
passed
many
the
other,
budget, that was one of the.
you hear that a lot in
byproducts.
social services too, I know. You've heard a lot of things that got moved from,
you know, obviously I
State.
wasn't around at that point,
Yeah.
I just didn't
You
know.
know, no,
if
that's
they
okay.
would
It's a-
look
it's a
into
valid
something like
question.
that again.
it has been requested by most counties, but you can imagine, some counties are actually looking at 15 million of
Yeah.
local share. I mean, can you imagine all of a sudden it going to that?
Right.
But again, it's that plus, I'm gonna say it, it's that plus bail reform. If I don't have someone in the jail, and I oversee our jail mental health staff, if I don't have someone in the jail long enough, this is odd from a mental health person, usually it's get them out. But if I don't have them long enough to give them a chance to see if the medication they'll now take because they're in the jail, if we could give 3 weeks before they go to court, and then the judge can see them, they're more stable and they're able to understand their charges. But if it's processing so quickly, sometimes they're in court, believe it or not, within 48 hours, and they're still very unstable if they came in with psychosis. It takes a few weeks to stabilize psychosis. So that's part of what's happening. So now we're going through all these evals, we're sending them up. So sometimes they're out quick, sometimes they're not. But yeah, it
Mis-
gets a lot of discussion at the state level, at the county level, a whole lot
Chairman.
of discussion.
For benefit of anyone on the Public Safety Committee that doesn't know, it's hardly unprecedented that the 57 counties of New York State are sometimes 100% responsible for health care. Anyone who doesn't know, anybody in the jail, even if they had Medicaid when they went in, they don't have Medicaid in the jail. So you have a pregnant lady 8.5 months pregnant in the jail, any sheriff is going to do everything he or she possibly can to get that person out so that their delivery and any complications are on Medicaid, not on the county budget. This has been the case forever, I guess. So it's common in the criminal justice system across the state forever. Counties pay the full medical bills of everyone that's incarcerated, anyone that's under our control, right?
The only exception is if they have to go to the hospital, then Medicaid can be turned on shortly while they're in the hospital and then turned back off again. But that's the only exception,
Yeah.
just so that we're on the same
Thank you.
page. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies. Come back again.
Yeah. So fun.
Next year.
Okay, our next resolution, authorize agreement with the Sheridan Fire District to utilize space for Fly Car M71 and a paramedic. Name and address, please.
Tim Carlson, County UMass.
Noel Gutman, Director of Emergency Services.
Okay.
So, this is in line what we've done with our other stations that have housed us. If you remember historically, a lot of what has happened is through goodwill and handshakes. Back in the beginning, we really didn't have a permanent site for Medic 71, and Sheridan was one of the first places to open their doors and arms to us. So what we did through a gentleman's agreement was providing some supplies for cleaning, toiletries, and something with floor sealing. That is not something that we can do anymore. So we're trying to formalize our agreement specifically with them to give them $3,000 annually, which will offset the cost of what we historically provided to them through a handshake agreement.
Not to mention, we have a medic that's there 24/7, so that would also offset the cost of the added utilities for that person being there.
Fair enough.
Does this have a term to it, 3 years, or it just says it starts?
No, my understanding is that this will be in place until we are no longer there or we're at a different place. So as long as we're there, this will be in place with them.
With no escalating 2% a
Correct.
year, X.
Unless toilet paper goes up.
That's right,
It's gonna-
unless there's a run on toilet paper again.
So would you anticipate this agreement following you to your proposed next location, wherever they may or may not end up?
Correct.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carried. Authorize fire service loan to Bemis Point Fire Department.
So the Chautauqua County has the Fireman's Revolving Loan Fire Account. By legislative design, the Fire Advisory Board can authorize a loan request up to $50,000. If the loan request is over that amount, it does need legislative approval. Bemis Point has, in the process of getting a new fire rescue boat, and they've asked for the amount listed here as $111,000. That represents, I think, about half the cost of the boat they purchased.
Do we take, Mr. Chairman,
The
do we
boat
take any
is-
type of lien against the vehicle, or does the revolving loan fund take a lien against the vehicle?
Nothing that I saw on that, no.
And the boat is in the water in Chautauqua Lake.
Is there any paperwork or anything that says that we loan them this money?
Yeah, there's a loan application that gets sent to our office, and the Fire Advisory Board does their process with it. And I know Bonnie sends it somewhere to get the ball rolling, but normally, most of them have usually stayed under that threshold where it's not needed for legislative amount. They ask for a larger amount, so that's why it is being brought here for the
Mr. Chairman, what are the terms? 5 years, 10 years, any
3
interest,
years.
interest-free?
3 years, they sent us the addendum. 5% interest.
5 years and 5% interest.
Oh, this says 3 years.
That's my mistake. It's 5% interest because Kitty was working out the schedule earlier today, so I had that number wrong, but the interest was 5%.
Yeah, 5%.
Over how many years?
He said 3 was in the resolution.
That's what it says on, it's not in the resolution, it's in the addendum on the email.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I would move to amend this so the resolve says not to exceed 111,000 at however many years it really is at 5% interest. We shouldn't pass a resolution
Yeah, I was
loaning
just gonna say,
money.
let's put,
M&T Bank, I don't think would loan 111,000 with no years to pay and no interest rate.
was gonna chime in there in a second. So what?
Do you know if it's supposed to be 5 years?
Well, he's got it.
5%, but I don't have the schedule, I don't have the actual.
5%?
Marty's got it, it was at addendum on our,
And how many years?
Yeah, an attachment on the email. It says the loan application is 3 years, 5%, $111,000.
All right, I move that where it says not to exceed $111,000 to be repaid in 3 years at 5% interest.
Okay,
I'll second that.
okay, all in favor of that?
Aye.
Yeah, I got some approved.
All right.
Okay.
Yep,
Thank you, guys.
Well, we
That
voted-
doesn't mean it'll make it through the legislature next
voted on
Wednesday.
Wait, we have to vote, we just
we
voted on
the
the,
amendment,
on that.
Aye.
So all in favor of the
amended.
amended resolution?
Aye.
Opposed? And carried. All right, so, amend the 2026 budget of the Office of the Sheriff. Jim sent the heavy down.
Yeah. The other two.
Ooh.
Under Sheriff Jim Rensel, Chautauqua County. This budget amendment is requested for the following. Move one full-time employee from the Sheriff's Department to SNAP DWI. That'd be a full-time from 3110 to SNAP DWI, 3315 for the accounts. Increase our equipment appropriation accounts in Sheriff's Department for rifles purchased that are being paid through payroll deductions. Increases our unclassified revenue account for, in plain English, that's, the rifles that we've bought were paid for by the deputies that received them. And they're either, they pay the full amount at once, or they pay through payroll deductions to pay for those. Increase our equipment appropriation in the grant account for the purchase of a vehicle through the bomb grant. This is a budget neutral amendment. The increase in revenue is shown under the grant account, federal aid, bomb detection.
Okay. Questions? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carried.
Thank you.
I make a motion that we withdraw, number 6, proposed resolution, authorize the execution of the lease agreement with the town of Chautauqua office space for the Chautauqua County Department of Probation.
Okay, I have a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And carried. Okay, number 7, authorize execution of lease agreement with the town of Chautauqua for office space for the Chautauqua County Public Defender Family Court Division.
Well, actually, 6 and 7 needed to be substituted with that revised one. It's actually, well, I'll kind of get into all of it if we're ready. So this
Number
is
6 was withdrawn.
withdrawn, and number 7 is being substituted, and it's,
It was already amended and changed already, so we were told that we didn't have to do
yeah, it's just
anything.
not just the public defender's office, I guess.
Well, Mr. Chairman, preliminary question. The 2 being withdrawn, they didn't include the county attorney's office. Now, this one adds the county attorney.
Yeah, I was going to discuss all of that right here shortly.
Right.
Go
All
ahead.
right, so I will, number 1, kind of go, thank you for taking the substitution. I will do my best. Unfortunately, Josh
It's only because
Rothwell.
we're nice people.
Yeah. I always think that. Unfortunately, Josh Rothwell, the Assistant Deputy Director of Public Facilities, could not be here this evening, but he did an excellent job Monday at Public Facilities, kind of going through all of this and what's been going on, so I will do my best to kind of use his write-up and kind of get you the funding that we've been able to get from these 2 departments for this project. So number 1, this is not new lease space for the county. This was existing space. It is a little additional space, but it's not a new footprint for the county. It is basically where we were up in what is the C wing of the town of Chautauqua. Both of these departments had leases with a third entity that had kind of control or a lease with the town over a 99-year period. In January of 2024, the roof at the town failed, and at that point, these departments were displaced. The county ended those leases with that entity. They were in different spots displaced. I know Public Defender was kind of placed in mental hygiene and was covering some of the expenses for the mental hygiene department for most of 25. As they were moving forward, the town, since that period, also has now reclaimed the entire C wing, so that's now the town's building. And they've been in negotiating with the county because our needs to be up there at this spot have never changed. It was more of the availability. So as they move forward with an idea of replacing the roof, which is $1 million alone for the town just to do that, this total project for the town is over $2 million essentially for the office build-out, ADA compliant entrances, windows, etc. Going to the departments, their need for space hadn't changed. The question was, how would we fund it if we wanted to enter into a lease agreement with that? So both of these departments were essentially tasked with finding grant funds, if possible, to offset some of the county's share of this, which they did a great job. The public defender and probation came up with $150,000 for probation, essentially $324,000 for the public defender office through the Division of Criminal Justice, which is approved for that use, which left a balance of $125,000.
580.
Yeah, $125,580. That would be essentially 79% of what the total build out of $600,000 could cost. The state's going to pay 79%. The county would be 21%. As it does note, this is not to exceed 600,000, however, and as Josh mentioned, Monday night, there is a chance we will finish under 600,000, and we will not need that full amount. That is still obviously with construction projects, that would play out at the end, but there is a chance we will be under that. What are we getting for this build out? Number one, we're getting a 10-year lease agreement for that space, locked in at $10 a square foot for the next 10 years for these departments. That includes a 96 square foot piece that's near probation that the county attorney office for child custody and family court would be upstairs in there, but that would be a non-monetary issue. They would work that out with probation because I think it's kind of a pass-through space. And for that, and then also in that, with that $10, we would also have utilities outside of phone and internet paid for and cleaning. So it's kind of a big project with the county and town working together to try and come together with an agreement on this. They've done a great job of getting some grant funds to help offset this for the county. And that is where we're at. It's been a lot of great work by Josh, also kind of putting this all together to kind of work together with everyone for the space, the displacement, all of that. So this has been a multi-year thing, but this is kind of a one-time cost to the county, not funded by New York State. And it was not included in the budget. We actually didn't really have this number until after January of this year, so.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
we have a county planning department. This is a rumor we do. Was our county planning department part of the process of deciding how to have office space in Mayville for the next 10 years, to your knowledge?
Well, not to my
Did they do
knowledge.
a study, they do a report, they do an analysis, anything?
Well, the public defender's actually been there for over 10 years, prior to this.
I
And then
appreciate
we've been there for 6 years. So I know when we moved in, we didn't utilize the planning committee. We were in a pinch to find a location in that location because there was already the public defender there.
So the answer is, to the best of your knowledge, our planning department had nothing to do with this decision on 10 years of office space for 3 different county departments.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, that's not a surprise. We've disclosed this year that our county planning department had nothing to do with the decision to locate the Carts Hub in an old abandoned gas station in downtown Jamestown either. And apparently our planning department had nothing to do with a decision about 3 weeks ago by a majority of the legislature to enter a 10-year lease in the post office building, starting at $20-some a foot, with automatic 3% annual increases for 10 years. So when I saw you guys coming in at $10 a foot flat for 10 years, I wanted to compliment you. Thank you.
May I just add one thing, Judge Larson, is that in that particular planned space that we're utilizing, there is, at the end of 10 years, we have the option to renew that lease and at no escalation.
Really?
Yes. And so that we thought was a huge benefit to the county long-term. And also, in addition to that, you may be familiar with our space in Jamestown, in City Hall in Jamestown. And at that particular location, we checked yesterday when we left here, or the other day. We're paying just a few cents under $15 a square foot. So we thought that the rate that was achieved at that location was outstanding. Not to mention, at least from our perspective, is that we have a family court office that is second to none, and certainly we encourage you all to go take a look. It turned out fantastic, but literally is just steps away from the family court itself. So the clients, the attorneys, the judges, whoever, can walk outside that courtroom right into our facilities. So, and not to mention, we're located right next to probation, who we work with very closely, and that's a huge benefit. So, but we left a lot of those figures to finance. Sam did an amazing job. Josh Rothwell did an amazing job on putting all this together. And we obtained that grant money from Department of Criminal Justice Services and ILS. That's all money given to us that we were able to obtain. So we're really, really happy. I think it delivers unmatchable services in family court to the residents of the county.
And if I could just, you had asked about the county attorney's office.
Yes.
This is just another opportunity for us to say we're sharing a location. Why would we make another county department have to pay when we can use, this falls under our grant dollars, so the grant money we use to pay, which is through, DCJS, actually allows us to pay for their rent too. So it's actually saving the county the money when it comes to that. So
Understand.
the other thing is this building was in very deplorable condition. Our staff worked through this building for several years knowing it was in deplorable condition. And morally, I felt horrible having them there, but because of location to the court and the need for the families to be able to come right down the hall and talk to probation, it was the right thing to do. We were just lucky enough to find the grant money to make this so it didn't put the burden on the county. So it really was a win-win for us, the public defender, the law department, and in my opinion, the county at the cost that we're looking at.
Job well done.
Great.
Thank you.
Any other questions for these dudes? No? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Yeah. Nice work. Okay, number 8, amend the 2026 budget of the Public Defender's Office. Staying on for that one, Sam?
Derek's going to.
Good morning, or good afternoon.
Yep.
Derek Gregory for the Assistant Public Defender for the Public Defender's Office. So you want me to?
If you want to go ahead.
Go ahead, Derek.
So earlier this year, we received a $1 million grant for the Model Office Family Court Grant. And at that time, the legislature approved that acceptance of that grant. At that time, they also approved the creation of a sub-department for family court. And prior to this, all of the funding for family court was included in 1170. And this breaks out the money that's attributable, the revenue and the expenses that are attributable to the sub-department to 1176. The resolution is budget neutral. We have added some money from deferred funds for furniture since we're hopefully getting the new lease up in the municipal building so that we can properly furnish it with grant funds, and hopefully that will be sufficient for the next 10 years.
Nice. We do it all the old.
Mr. Chairman, just so we're clear, the prior resolution we just acted on was 79% state money, pretty generous. This one's essentially 100% state money?
I can't say that for sure, but the money and the revenue is all in our budget previously.
You mentioned $1 million grant earlier.
That's already been included in the budget.
Okay.
But this does, the family court division, the sub-department is not entirely funded by grant funds. There is a certain percentage of local share, and that was in the 1170. And as it now stands, 1170 will encompass just the criminal court division We have 1172, which is the Harrell Herring Grant, which is neutral. And then we have 1176, which is the Family Court Subdepartment. And going forward, this year it'll be kind of difficult to compare apples to apples, but going forward, when each subdepartment is completely fleshed out, it'll be easier for everyone to see what we spend on the criminal division and the family court division.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carried.
Thank you.
Okay, last resolution is authorize acceptance of the gun-involved violence elimination GIVE grant funds for 2026 through 2027.
Good afternoon, Jason Schmidt, District Attorney.
Madeline Cantaculia, Executive Assistant to the District Attorney.
And Golf Pro.
And Golf Pro, apparently. I didn't know people knew that.
I saw your name in the paper.
Every once in a while. I did win my league last week, so.
I saw that.
The resolution that we have before you today is to authorize the acceptance of the gun-involved violence elimination grant for 2026-2027. This is a grant that the District Attorney's Office with Jamestown Police, the Sheriff's Department, and Probation have received for several years. This cycle will run from January 1st of 2026 through June 30th of 2027. The total award awarded to Chautauqua County for this cycle was $759,577. $309,345 of that was issued to the City of Jamestown Police Department, and they'll be executing their own agreement with New York State for their portion of the funding. So the resolution that we have for you is to accept Chautauqua County's portion of the funding, which is $450,232, and that is broken down between the departments. For the District Attorney's Office, we've been awarded $247,000. The Sheriff's Office has been awarded $115,432, and Probation has been awarded $87,800. The purpose of this grant is to reduce gun violence and violent felonies in Chautauqua County, but more specifically in the City of Jamestown. The portion for 2026, in the 2026 budget, has exceeded what was budgeted for the District Attorney's Office and the Sheriff's Department, so we are requesting a budget amendment for both agencies. They're both budget neutral. For the DA's office, it's to increase our contractual expenses by $73,500, but also to increase our revenue by the same amount. For the Sheriff's Office, it's to increase their budget by $43,716, also increasing their revenue by the same amount. Probation did not need a budget amendment for 2026, and the portion of 2027 will be included in our proposed budgets to you in October. I did want to note that I identified a typo in the first whereas clause. It's the second line. It should say through municipal agencies, not though. So I apologize for that. The DA pointed that out to me this afternoon.
Yeah, we'll just call that a typo.
Those are kind of mistakes we don't mind.
I know. I was like, I read it. I swear I read it like 3 or 4 times. I just didn't catch it.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
Just to dot our i's and cross our t's, this $450,000 to Chautauqua County government from July 1 of this year to June 30 of next, is there any match required from the county budget?
There's no match
Not
required.
a nickel?
Nope.
Just a giveaway by the state
Yep.
of New York to
It's
Chautauqua
a
County?
reimbursable grant, so each agency has to perform the work first, and then they apply for reimbursement to the state, but there is no match requirement.
Thank you.
Madeline, in the past, didn't we get all the money? Didn't we send money to Jamestown and the other places?
That's for the Discovery grant,
Okay.
so that's a different program than this one. This one has always been a partnership between the 4 agencies, and the state has awarded Chautauqua County a total amount of money, and it's up to the District Attorney's Office, JPD, probation, and the sheriff's office to divide it amongst themselves. So there's no specific directive from the state on how much goes to each agency. It's completely up to the departments.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions for Manny or Jason? Hearing none, seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed and carried.
Thank you.
Jay, you got a discussion here?
Yeah, it's like, I think we can say
Is this your
it.
budget proposal, so we're not gonna hear you next month?
No, we'll be here. Don't worry.
We had asked for additional time just to confer with public safety concerning our 27 budget proposals, because on the face of things, it appears as if we're asking for a 36% increase in the local share, equating to somewhere in the neighborhood of $839,000. The difficulty that we have here is that, and I wanted to remind the legislature that last year, the legislature took some of our money that we had parked in deferred revenue from our discovery funding grants and aid to prosecution monies that are awarded pursuant to the state's fiscal year, and essentially we get awards for 2-year periods, so we have to allocate and project out for a minimum of 2 years, although we generally like to go even further out. However, when we did that, we had gone through budget review. During the budget review process, we had money taken from our deferred revenue account and moved into our revenue to offset local share to the tune of $800,000. And then on October 23rd, 25, when we were in budget hearings here, right in the middle of budget hearings, we were directed to take $500,000 and move it from deferred revenue, which would have been offset local share of this during this budget season for the 2027 budget, and to apply it as revenue against local share to reduce the local share for the 26 budget. So we were, at the time, we had discussions with the legislature and audit and control, and it was my understanding that we were going to, to correct our books. And it's just, yeah. So that's why we thought that it might be appropriate to bring this to everyone's attention now, so that we're aware of it and we can address it together. I just don't want any, surprises later, when it's very difficult then to have a protracted conversation about these issues.
You said that these have some monies that was projected out for the different accounts that we.
Are you talking, I'm sorry, are you referring to the deferred revenue
Yeah.
that they're referencing? Yes, so last year during the budget process, the committee ultimately decided that since they had that funding in deferred, that rather than increase their local share to the degree that it was at the time, I don't remember the percentage going into that discussion, that they would prefer that the agency utilize that deferred revenue to offset that increase. So obviously this year, it basically essentially kicked the can down the road. So this year that increase is more prominent because we took care of the increase last year. So
they are aware of it.
Yeah, I just want everyone to be aware, if you look closely at our expenses as much as we could, we've reined in costs. We're very, we're mindful of the county's fiscal responsibilities and limited tax base. We share in those concerns. However, there is going to be some sticker shock, as we go forward, and I thought the best we could do here is bring it to your attention, remind you what occurred, because we operate on the state's fiscal year. When it comes to our revenue, all we can rely on is grant funding and local share. We don't generate our own revenue that anything meaningful other than what we can acquire through seizures. So we bring this to your attention. We don't have to discuss it any further.
Well, Mr. Chairman, so it's clear in my mind, Mr. Schmidt, are you saying that, which I find hard to believe, the Audit and Control Committee on its own decided to move, $500,000 of deferred revenue into covering your budget this year?
In effect, yes.
Okay. Kicking the $500,000 can down the road.
In effect, yes, for us to deal with during this budget or next, the next.
I'm not surprised, thank you.
Yeah. I just want to also let everyone know, you know, we're available, we're always around. If anyone has any specific questions, you know, contact me. I'm always around, available to speak, and we can go through numbers with anyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So you still have time to seize some cars and.
We're working on it.
We're working on it.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
all right, thank you. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So by Legislator Gustafson and seconded by Legislator Merritt, all in favor?
Aye.
And we are adjourned.
Thank you.
My voted no is so much fun.
You couldn't imagine you could have that much fun with your clothes on, huh?
Are you? Little trouble today?
Imagine the county executive chair, somebody with fresh